So I thought actually we could. So with the practice, there's the kind of contemplation prayers, and then there's some additional. That's the actual practice, and then there's some additional practices that can be used to complement or enhance. And this blessing the speech meditation, Rinpoche recommends doing it at the beginning if you want to do it. And yeah, it's kind of a fun, interesting meditation. So I thought we could do that together, actually, so we could, and then I can lead the visualization, and then so we'll do the blessing of speech practice, and then we'll read together the part of the practice we did last week, the lamrim part, and then we'll stop, and then we'll talk about the rest that we haven't got to yet. Yeah, and so with the blessing of the speech, we're going to do some prayer meditation first, and then we'll meditate on emptiness. So we'll dissolve the sense of I, the existent I, truly existent I, truly existent personality, truly existent world. All that will dissolve into kind of a brief meditation on just kind of how we understand emptiness. You imagine like the mind just opens to kind of empty space, vast empty awareness. And then we'll rise as Shakyamuni Buddha. So with this practice, you can arise as any deity, but to generate yourself as a deity, we need to have a permission to go through a permission ritual, except for Shakyamuni Buddha. One of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's teachers, Demolocho Rinpoche, said that Shakyamuni Buddha, it's okay to generate yourself as kind of, because the Buddha is the founder, and we have a kind of special connection. So so we'll generate ourselves as the Buddha, and then we'll do the visualization. And just to give a I guess maybe just to mention it first, we're going to be imagining syllables on our tongue, like kind of garlands of syllables on our tongue, and then we'll be attracting kind of auspicious energy, the symbolic like symbols emerging into the, like magnetizing into the syllables on our tongue, and then a body, speech, mind purification. Meditation. So first we can take the refuge to generate bodhicitta. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. We'll just do some breathing meditation. You can imagine a small sphere of blue light at your heart center. The sphere of light radiates in all directions. The entire universe is filled with deep blue light. And everything melts into emptiness, which is the nature of things. The outer world melts into emptiness. All of our entanglements, relationships, pressures, all that melts into emptiness. In our body, sense of the body, sense of our personality, all that melts into emptiness, into empty, clear awareness. As best you can, just having a sense of this vast, empty space. Very completely free of all entanglements of the world and even our sense of self as well. It's all melted away. And out of that space of empty awareness, out of compassion, we manifest in the form of Shakyamuni Buddha. Seated on a lotus in the moon disk, sitting in full lotus posture. Our bodies are radiant gold in color. We wear the saffron robes of a monk. Our right hand rests over our right knee in the gesture of touching the earth, expressing confidence in our awakened nature. And our left hand sits in our lap, holding a begging bowl full of nectar. And as the Buddha smiled with the narrow, compassionate eyes, and sit within an aura of golden light. And then in order to purify our speech, we practice to bless our speech, bless the power of our speech and communication. On our tongue appears a white moon disk laying flat. On top of the moon disk on our tongue is a small white syllable Om. And circling the Om in the center of the white Sanskrit vowels, standing clockwise. And when we don't know the Sanskrit vowels, just imagine the pearls of radiant light, like a garland of pearls. And then outside of the white vowels, the red Sanskrit consonants. In the same way, like a garland of pearls. And outside the consonants is the blue heart mantra dependent relation. Light beams radiate from the syllable Om and the mantra garlands on our tongue, going out in all directions. Light beams hook back and magnetize and bring in the blessings and power of the speech of those gone beyond, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Aryas, those not beyond the world, those yogis and powerful meditators, in the form of those three mantras. And also this energy is drawing in also in the form of seven sublime precious objects of a king's ring, the 8 auspicious signs and the 8 auspicious substances. Those powerful, awakened, auspicious, royal energy is drawn into the mantras on our tongue. And then we'll recite the mantras out loud together. The first one is the white garland on the tongue. Hard to imagine, but if you think while you're reciting in the back of your mind that white light radiates through your body, purifying all negative karmas, certain energy of your body is purified. Om, e, re, li, a, o, swaha. Om, e, re, li, a, o, swaha. Om, e, re, li, a, o, swaha. And the next mantra, red light radiates through us, purifying all negative karmas related to speech, healing our speech, transforming our speech. Om ka ga na sa za gya na ta da na ta da na pa ba ma ya ra la wa shaka saha kya swaha. Om ka ga na sa za gya na ta ta da da na, ta ta da da na, pa pa ba ma, ya ra la wa, shaka saha kya swaha. Om ka ka ga ga na, sa sa za gya na, ta ta da da na, ta ta da da na, pa pa ba ba ma, ya ra la wa, shaka saha kya swaha. And lastly, this mantra we recite: blue light radiates through us, nectar beings filling our whole body, all negative karmas collected with our mind, purified, and our consciousness is purified and transformed. Om ye Dharma hetu prabhava hetu teken tatagato hyevade teken sa yo niroda evam badi maha shramana ye swaha. Om ye Dharma hetu prabhava hetu teken tatagato hyevade teken sa yo niroda evam badi maha shramana ye swaha. Om ye Dharma hetu prabhava hetu teken tatagato yavade teken sa yo niroda evam vadi maha shramana ye swaha. And just lastly, we can imagine the blue mantra garland absorbs into the red absorbs into the white. And the white absorbs into the Om standing in the center of the moon cushion on our tongue. And then the Om melts into the moon. This transforms into the letter A. And this A melts into pink nectar and absorbs into your tongue. And it becomes the nature of a Vajra, which says, imagine the tongue feels very heavy and strong, almost as if it's difficult to move, and indestructible as a Vajra. And feel that all the blessings and power of the Buddha's speech, all the Bodhisattvas, Arhats, Yogis, the sages, all this blessing power is entered into our speech. And we dedicate. May my tongue sense base have all the courage of the ones gone to bliss. By the magnificence and power of my words, may all sentient beings be subdued. May all the meanings of whatever words I say be accomplished. And we can recite together the lamrim prayer that we went through last week. Now that we blessed our speech, we can recite out loud. Essence encompassing all the Buddhas, originator of all holy Dharma of scripture and realization, principle of all the Aryas intending virtue, and glorious holy Gurus that take refuge. Please, Gurus, bless my mind to become Dharma, Dharma to become the path, and the path to be without obstacles. Until I achieve Buddhahood, please bless me to be like youthful Norsong and Bodhisattva always crying, and correctly following the virtuous friend with pure thought and action, seeing whatever is done is pure, and accomplishing whatever is said and advised. Please bless me to see that this greatly meaningful body with freedoms and richnesses is difficult to find and easily perishes. That action and result are so profound. and that sufferings of evil-gone transmigratory beings are so difficult to bear. Therefore, please bless me to take refuge from the depths of my heart in the three rare sublime ones, to abandon negative karma and to accomplish virtue according to Dharma. In dependence upon that, even if I achieve the mere higher rebirth of a deva or human, I'll still have to experience suffering endlessly in samsara because of not having abandoned and being under the control of disturbing thought obscurations. Please bless me to reflect well upon the way of circling in samsara and to continuously follow day and night the path of the three types of precious trainings, the principal method for becoming free from samsara. In dependence upon that, even if I achieve mere liberation, since there is no sentient being in the six types who has not been my father or mother, please bless me to think I must fulfill their purpose and turn away from the lower happiness of nirvana. Then please bless me to generate precious bodhichitta by equalizing and exchanging myself with others, and to follow the conducts of the conqueror sons, six paramitas, and so forth. Having trained my mind in the common path in that way, I will not be upset even if I have to experience the sufferings of samsara for a long time. However, please bless me to look at sentient beings with extraordinary, unbearable compassion, and to enter the quick path of the Vajrayana teachings. Then please bless me to protect my vows and samayas more than my life, and quickly accomplish the unified Vajradhara state in one brief lifetime of this degenerate time. So, so that's one way to start our day. And we started our class that way. So now we'll get into the verses we haven't covered yet together. And so here, the first one, may I not give rise to heresy for even a second in regard to the actions of the glorious Guru. May I see whatever actions are done as the stainless actions of Buddha. With this devotion, may I receive the Guru's blessing in my heart. And the magnificent, precious Guru, please abide on the lotus and one seat of my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. Starting out with a tough one tonight. So this is a tantric teaching. In the lamrim, in the tradition, some Khyungpo's lamrim, kind of traditional format lamrim, relation to the spiritual teacher is the first topics. And it brings in kind of the attitude and relationships the teacher that are found in the tantric tradition, where devotion is kind of like an engine of tantra. It's like a skillful method of tantra. It uses the kind of the power and force of human devotion, passionate devotion, to kind of help overthrow our duality, basically, fundamentally. So there is, in Tantra tradition, there's the outer guru, inner guru, and secret guru. So outer guru is your kind of physical teacher, someone who you train with and get instructions with, advice. And then inner guru is kind of, what's the way Lama would say? Inner knowledge. Trust your inner knowledge, wisdom, dear. It's like once we start to awaken, start to develop ourselves, there's an inner kind of, the inner teacher, the teachings kind of come into our mind when we need it. And, kind of like an intuitive sense of wisdom, kind of inner wisdom. So that's the inner guru. And that's what we're developing on the basis of our relationship to the outer teacher. So the outer teacher is helping us wake up our inner teacher, our inner guru. And then the secret guru is the kind of nature of our mind. It's the empty nature of our mind. It's the kind of fundamental emptiness. And so, yeah, guru yoga or guru devotion is leading towards that. Yeah. And there's a meditation, that second verse, Bhag Los Musi Mahar, God with great kindness. There's a meditation you can do where you're imagining your teacher as one with a meditational Buddha, and that your teacher in the form of that Buddha comes and rests into your heart center. But Rinpoche was saying in his commentary that unless you have a initiation, highest tantric initiation, you don't do that in a detailed way. You can imagine like the melting of light, just kind of a general blessing your body, speech, mind. Yeah. But it's a tricky verse because it's saying there's some heavy terms. Heresy, for me, heresy, and seeing whatever actions are done as enlightened being,
Is it on there?
Oh, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, one of my teachers said this, this verse can maybe need a health warning. So I like how he put that. Because it can be misinterpreted, and the attitude can, if the teacher is misbehaving or abusing, it's it's kind of a slippery slope. And I like this translation because before it was still a challenging verse, but whatever I see, may I see whatever actions are done as pure. It used to be recited as pure, which I like stainless actions. The Buddha has a different approach. One of my teachers is saying pure, maybe in a sense of emptiness, like everything is pure, but not necessarily denying the aspects of relative truth. Yeah. So it's not that we can't disagree with our teachers, or, His Holiness will say if teachers are kind of abusing power, then, it is what it is. It is what it is in a relative sense. At the same time, that if things do go in bad direction, it can be heartbreaking and very difficult. And the inner, for our own protection, not, we still have to protect our own path and our health and our spiritual practice. So, anger and resentment and rage and stuff like that to our teacher is not great for our practice. not fun to live with. So, yeah. Yeah.
So if I don't have a guru, I don't at the moment, And I can just imagine the light, you said?
Yeah, you can imagine a Buddha, or if
Shakyamuni Buddha.
Shakyamuni Buddha or Manjushri or any Buddha that's kind of functioning as a teacher to you in a way. Sometimes this, since everybody feels a sense of appreciation and inspiration with His Holiness Dalai Lama, you imagine His Holiness. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to wax on that one. So unless anybody has questions, comments with the first verse, second verse. Yeah, and so it says, sometimes it's good to investigate a couple of years, see if the teacher, before going into like a really kind of intimate student-teacher relationship, checking them and checking the community, making sure everything's kind of a good fit and feels appropriate and so forth. Just because, we can. It's a commitment and intimate and yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So seeing the Guru as Buddha, His Holiness Dalai Lama was saying, like, we're in tantric practice, we're actually supposed to see everybody as Buddha. So he's like, if you didn't see your teacher as Buddha, it'd be kind of strange. But yeah, it's kind of a big topic. But that's the kind of essence of it, is trying to lead us to open-heartedness and going beyond our beyond duality, in the sense of when they talk about having more a pure vision of reality. But again, has kind of health warnings behind it, I think, just to know that we're not seeing everything relative as like perfect, like, my Guru's not, he blows his nose perfect in absolute sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, relative reality is relative reality. And but there is this backdrop of Buddha nature that is the nature of all of us, and kind of helping us point towards that direction. So yeah. And so then it moves into the bodhicitta verses. I'll go ahead and start with this one. So this one comes from the 8th verse. So these first two are from particular texts. This one comes from the 8 verses of thought transformation. Determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I hold them most dear at all times. And the tradition is really beautiful logic. And I'll read Rinpoche's quote about it in a second, about how... actually, I'll just read Rinpoche's quote and go from there. So Rinpoche says, so good karma comes from Buddhas. Buddhas come from bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas come from bodhicitta. Bodhicitta comes from great compassion. And great compassion is generated in dependence upon the kindness of suffering sentient beings. So, the karma comes from Buddhas. Buddhas come from bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas come from bodhicitta. Bodhicitta comes from, or is caused from, great compassion. And great compassion actually is generated in dependence upon suffering kindness of suffering sentient beings. So everyone is the most kind, most dear, most precious, and most wish fulfilling for you. Therefore, let go of the I and cherish them. With your body, speech, and mind, serve them. Even Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha come from sentient beings. Because Buddha comes from sentient beings, that means Dharma, which comes from Buddha, also comes from sentient beings. Sangha, of course, comes from the Dharma, so Sangha also comes from sentient beings. With regard to qualities, this is interesting, this kind of way of delineating. With regard to qualities, Buddha is supreme. But with regard to kindness, sentient beings, from where the three rare sublime ones, or three jewels, come, are supreme. So, regard to qualities, Buddha is supreme because it's a sentient being who has manifested Buddha nature, enlightenment. But in regard to kindness, sentient beings are the causes of the three jewels, so they are supreme. Yeah. Yeah, so it's acknowledging like our relationship with others is the basis for our compassion. Compassion and equanimity become the basis. Develop great compassion, this universal compassion, which is the cause or the motivation to generate bodhicitta. And then bodhicitta is the cause to kind of tap into this profound potential to bodhisattvahood. Like without this kind of compassionate heart that was generated on the basis of others and our relation to them, we become bodhisattvas. And then the bodhisattva path unfolds, and then eventually we become Buddhas. So we can't become a Buddha without animals, ants, humans. Venerable Rubina says even the harmers, the people who harm, the harmful beings, ones who are behaving like that, they're a cause for us to wake up. So that way so that's what it means by determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from sentient beings, which means enlightenment. They're more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel because they cause our enlightenment, and hold them most dear at all times, which also becomes a cause of our enlightenment. Yeah, so it's, in Shantideva's text, there's like Buddhas and sentient beings are equal in that way because of their power on the path. They're equal. Very beautiful. I'm trying to remember what text is from. There's a text I'm blanking that pays homage. Oftentimes, pay homage to your gurus, or you pay homage to a deity that's kind of affiliated with that subject. Like if it was a text or commentary on emptiness, it'd be usually the open lines. In the traditional classical text would be making a homage or prayer or praise to Manjushri, or if it's a bodhicitta, maybe. And there's one famous text that I'm blanking on, but the opening prayer is, I pay homage to compassion because of this kind of logic. Then the next verse, may I become like a wish-granting jewel, fulfilling all the wishes, and like a wish-granting tree, fulfilling all the hopes of transmigratory beings. I'm not sure what else to say about it. A lot of the following verses are kind of prayers to be kind of wish fulfilling for people. Let's see. Yeah, any thoughts, comments, questions? How are these verses landing for you? Yeah, good. Sorry, I'm not putting people sleeping. All right, so the next verse going into Shantideva's, from chapter 3 in Shantideva's Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So, first one, for the sake of accomplishing the two purposes of all sentient beings, without any sense of loss or concern, I give away my body and likewise my enjoyments, such as food and clothing, and even all my virtues are accumulated over the 3 times. By abandoning attachment and giving everything away, I'll pass beyond sorrow, and my mind will achieve the non-abiding, sorrowless state, the state of omniscience. Since I'll have to give up everything all at once when I die, it's best for me to give it away to sentient beings, because Buddhahood is attained that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so there's meditation we can do where we imagine sending out our bodies, like, and they can transform into anything that any being needs. It's kind of a far out kind of imagination process where we let go of attachment to our form, and later verses we'll get into may become different kind of objects for benefit. Yeah, so here you can see it's working with attachment and generosity. In verse 12, since I have to give up everything all at once when I die anyway, it's best for me to give it away to sentient beings. And yeah, because Buddha is attained that way. Yeah, generosity is a state of mind. So when we can imagine kind of having this attitude that we're offering ourselves everything that we have. In a way, the Bodhisattva vows are kind of surrender in that way. Like we're kind of public goods in a way. Yeah, I have to say, I feel that seeing at Geshe Sherp's house feels like just the atmosphere in there is so uplifted and it's joyful, inspiring, and it just what's been hitting me, it feels like, oh, he's offered this house. There's this atmosphere of like it's not his in a way. It's just been powerful to kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of, that's what the feedback, that's how I've kind of experienced the sense I've got there. And he's really kind of has that bodhisattva spirit to the space. Yeah, so we're kind of practicing that attitude with these verses. And, when we're reading it, it's just kind of planting these kind of seeds to kind of transform this attitude and create this kind of generosity. And then 13, as I have already given this body in pure aggregate to all beings to use for their pleasure, even if they always kill me, criticize me, beat me, and so forth, I will let them do whatever they like. And let's read the next one too, actually. It's very similar. From now on, whether they play games with my body or make it an object of laughter by ridiculing and making fun of it to hurt me, since I've already given this body of mine to benefit sentient beings, why would I resist by protecting it and so forth? Yeah, one of my teachers brought up, maybe another health warning on this one. A health warning on this one could be helpful as well.
Historically, though, wasn't Shantideva kind of shunned by his sangha and made fun of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He wasn't one of them.
Huh?
He was without him.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Kodo was mentioning historically Shantideva was kind of made fun of and pushed aside, kind of outcasted in a way at his monastery. It's interesting. Connection. Yeah, he was named Eat, Sleep, Poop because that's what they thought. That's all he did. Yeah. So one thing that comes up for me with this verse, and these verses, just personally, and another one of my teachers was mentioning, but some of these Lojong trainings where it is like you take the loss, okay, even if they beat me up or whatever, it's like, well, what about why are we letting them, even if we're okay with it, there's also we're letting them kind of do bad things to us. So there can be a bit of a self-centered attitude with Lojong, I think, sometimes. As like a maybe if it's not just like like a health warning or whatever, like I'm going to work on my practice and work on my bodhichitta or whatever, but I'm going to let this person just have no boundaries and abuse people and so forth. So it was an interesting kind of take on it, like because what if showing boundaries is helpful for that being, like in our bodhisattva vows, we're vowing to protect others as well, and like the Buddha in one of his past lives, he had a clairvoyance that this man was going to kill everybody on a boat, and he ended up killing the person first to not allow him to create harm. So that's one angle. Venerable Robina had a story when she got a guy ran up to her in New York City, tried to snatch her purse, but he was unsuccessful. Yeah, bad luck for him or good luck for him. And she gave him a talking to, like fierce, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't remember what she said, but just kind of like, one of those, like, what would your mother think of you right now? I don't know if that's what she said, but just kind of, she gave him money. She's like, here, here's money, here's money, but like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And yeah, so she had kind of like a perfect, like, no fear, and still like this concern for them. So she wouldn't let him rob her. But she also still gave to him too. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's another story I heard from Lauren Ladner. He is a psychologist and teacher in the FPMT Center in Virginia. And he was with Reber Rinpoche. Reber Rinpoche died from some sort of cancer in the States. And he was an old Tibetan yogi, and he was imprisoned in the gulags, in the Chinese gulags for a long time, and tortured and everything. And Lauren told us that Reber Rinpoche said to him, like, what they did to my body is, like unspeakable things. But he said, but the entire time, all I felt was bliss. All the experience was bliss. So it's like this kind of level of a bodhisattva where literally, yeah, he was criticized. I mean, he was beaten, I think, dragged through the streets and things like that. And yeah, he said internally he had, this kind of blissful experience the whole time, which is kind of, yeah. Yeah, and there's also that monk that met with the Dalai Lama after escaping Tibet. He was in the prison for 20 years, and he said the scariest moment for him was he almost lost his compassion for his captors. Yeah. Yeah, so for me, the language, it trips me up a little bit with this verse. Like, I will let them do whatever they like. It just kind of, that just trips me up. Like, why would them liking killing me be a good thing that I should allow?
Isn't it more of, from his perspective, how do I know? I don't know.
Yeah.
But of surrendering, like, I'm not going to cherish this body, I'm not going to cherish my clothes and whatever else he gave away before us. So giving everything out and up, not hanging on, not cherishing, right? That's the way to attain humility. It's the emptiness, like real emptiness.
Yeah. Yeah, Kodo was saying, kind of called for like a real surrendering and giving up, because that giving up leads to like a real emptiness, giving away, like releasing all attachment. Yeah, and so I think it's really like a capacity thing, right? Another one of my teachers said, if no self, no boundary, no problem. But if you have a self and you have no boundaries, then big problem.
So above is Lama Zopa's quote, I will allow them to do whatever makes them happy and give up being attached to my body and getting angry at others. So go ahead and beat me up, but I'm not going to get angry at you for doing it. Because that takes me out, takes me down.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And that, yeah, and that be like a prayer aspiration. May I be able to meet something like this and have the blessings to be not psychologically harmed by it.
Resentful.
Yeah.
Really angry and defensive.
Yeah. So it could be a way of looking at it from a prayer aspiration for like supreme inner strength. So not in the sense of just like the outer form of being, I should just get criticized and beat because that's a good thing. It's more about, may I be able to have this profound inner strength where I'm not emotionally, psychologically disturbed at all when these terrible things come my way. And I'm just kind of sharing my own kind of process with these two verses. I find bring up a lot. And one of my teachers was saying it's good. It's like whatever they bring up, actually, it can be like, what is it honoring? Like, what does it actually bring up? Like, and be with that and see what's actually. Yeah. Anybody on Zoom have any? Oh, yeah. Any thoughts or reactions, responses?
It reminds me of the St. Francis prayer. Let me love rather than be loved, let me whatever, all this, it's really this whole devotional giving up. I'll take this much and you can have all the rest. It's the same energetic quality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real deep humility. Deep devotion.
Kodo was saying it reminds her of the St. Francis prayer, the kind of famous one. So let me love rather than be loved.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I used to recite it. It's actually in. It's just an expression of deep devotion and humility. Yeah, maybe we'll continue with the. So I'll also use it. My body. I'll also use it to do any virtuous action that doesn't harm and benefits others. In Rinpoche's comments, praying for virtues to become causes that do not go to waste include praying for yourself to become a cause of only benefit for others, praying for others' attitudes to become causes that do not go to waste, and praying for others' actions to become causes that do not go to waste. And in 15b, whenever any sentient being encounters me, may it never be meaningless for them and always be meaningful. And whenever someone has an angry or devotional thought arise just by looking at me, may that attitude alone become a cause that always accomplishes all the temporary and ultimate purposes of that being. Yeah. Whenever someone has an angry or devotional thought arise just by looking at me, may that attitude alone become a cause that always accomplishes all the temporary and ultimate purposes for that being. And Rinpoche says, this wish is very important. You should pray like this every day. Even if somebody's angry with you, pray for it to be meaningful for that person, animal, or whoever, and pray for it to be helpful to them in achieving enlightenment. And when someone is attached or devoted to you, also pray for that attitude to be useful to them in achieving enlightenment. This is the attitude of a bodhisattva. It's just my notes. Yeah. I can read it out loud again. This wish is very important. You should pray like this every day. Even if somebody is angry with you, pray for it to be meaningful for that person, animal, or whoever, and pray for it to be helpful to them in achieving enlightenment. And when someone is attached or devoted to you, also pray for that attitude to be useful to them in achieving enlightenment. This is the attitude of a bodhisattva. And then whenever others criticize me with their speech, harm me with their bodies, or likewise insult me behind my back, may all of them have the fortune to achieve great enlightenment. Yeah, it makes me think, these are like preemptive seeds, like before something comes up. I was talking to someone who was worried about having anger come out in like a public speaking setting. And what to do, and and how doing preemptive practice, like loving kindness practice or something beforehand, before we encounter might. So then we have like a kind of reserve. And so so Rinpoche, these verses and practices Rinpoche recommends at the beginning of the day. First get up, just to kind of keep planting seeds. Start to kind of plant seeds for this attitude.
He's talking about his son.
Shantideva.
17, yeah. Because that's what he lived through, right?
Yeah, it's so interesting you brought that up.
Cruel and flaky, and he just took it in and transformed it into that. And then you achieved great enlightenment. May it benefit you to talk about me behind my back. Hope you get a benefit out of it.
Yeah, Kodo's bringing it back to. Should just get you a microphone. I'm just kidding. Just bringing it back to Shantideva, actually, and seeing, because this is Shantideva speaking this, and this is what he lived through at the monastery, and just imagining him saying like, we're all those speaking behind my back, may be useful for you, may you get enlightened, and and it's in, and this text actually came from an attempt at public humiliation. They're like, oh, this lazy, dumb monk or whatever that we make fun of, he had to teach in front of the entire monastery, and they built this like enormous throne that he couldn't even like climb up on to mock him. And then I think he like flew up onto the throne and gave this discourse. It's like one of the greatest texts in Buddhist history. It's benefited millions and millions of people. So it definitely worked for Shantideva. He figured it out. So yeah, thanks for bringing him. Yeah, that up actually. That was really very much his situation. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's like words from somebody who really lived. This is what he lived through, and he totally transformed it. So verse 18: May I be a savior for those who lack a savior, a guide for all the beings who enter a road, a boat, a ship, and a bridge for those who want to cross the water. And may it be an island for those who seek the safe shore of an island, a light for those who want to light, bedding for those who wish for bedding, and for all beings who desire a servant, may I become a servant of them all. Yeah, so this is transforming the service attitude, giving of oneself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's the practice of imagining, providing anything that the other might need. Rinpoche said also, if you're doing deity practice and you're self-generating as the deity, like if you're Shakyamuni Buddha, you can imagine like tiny replicas of yourself, of your body, of Buddhas, kind of radiating out from your pores or your heart, and reaching sentient beings, blessing them, healing them, transforming them. So in that way, like it's a meditation on offering your body, but you're offering your body in a Buddha's form. Yeah, and these verses are very much the St. Francis prayer. And actually, in the refuge book, the FPMT refuge book, when you take vows, and sometimes you get a booklet when you take refuge vows, and in the text that Lama Zopa Rinpoche put together, the St. Francis prayer is actually included in the back. Actually, Rinpoche seems like he has a connection with St. Francis. He reminds me of St. Francis, actually, especially with his way with animals and the way he'll just stop with everything he's doing and do a long blessing with water or bless an animal. And has kind of embodies this kind of spirit to 1,000%. May I be a wish granting jewel and a wish fulfilling vase, giving rise to whatever is desired, such as food and clothing, powerful mantra accomplishing actions of pacification, increase, and so forth. Great medicine curing every sickness, a wish fulfilling tree satisfying every need, and a wish granting cow for all beings. Yeah, so the imagery, 8th century India. This is, Shantideva's kind of symbolism. And I think we can kind of connect with the spirit. And like the four great elements, the earth and so forth, and like the sky, may always be a means of living in every way for innumerable sentient beings. Likewise, may it be a means of living at all times and in all ways for the realms of sentient beings equaling the extent of space until they all attain the sorrowless state. And then Rinpoche adds this is also a verse from Shantideva. I don't remember what chapter. It might be the dedication. It's probably the dedication. It's one of His Holiness's favorite verses. And then this is the last verse of the practice. As long as space remains, as long as transmigratory beings remain, until then I too remain to dispel the suffering of transmigratory beings. And transmigratory is just another translation of sentient being. Rinpoche likes transmigratory. Might be the Tibetan term drowa, which means kind of like wanderers. And Rinpoche likes this word because it's kind of implying the kind of wandering nature of samsara, how we migrate from one realm to the next, animal to human to animal to ghost, and so forth. But it means sentient beings. So sometimes you just see as long as sentient beings remain. It's the same word. Yeah, and to that final verse, Rinpoche said, Bodhisattvas pray to be totally used by sentient beings for whatever happiness they want. This is what Bodhisattvas pray for and what they actually do once they have gained power to do so. Therefore, don't think that the Bodhisattva attitude is something very simple. Oops. And then this final quote. So Gampopa, who's 11th century Tibetan master. Milarepa's heart disciple said, after waking from sleep and before you get out of bed, think, today I'm going to use my body, speech, and mind and virtue for sentient beings. It is so important to generate this precious thought of bodhicitta, the ultimate good heart. Whatever you do that day is then done with bodhicitta, so everything then becomes virtue and the causes of enlightenment. If motivation is wrong, everything then becomes negative karma and a cause of the evil gone realms. When you then go to sleep at night, dedicate all your actions of body, speech, and mind for sentient beings. This is extremely important. It is said that without difficulties, this becomes the path to the Dharmakaya. Yeah, so tradition says, starting the day with an intention and then ending the day for sleep with a dedication. So you can review your day and make mistakes, and then also rejoice in whatever your practice is, even if your first practice of the day is the dedication practice at night. Like, just rejoice that you're having that. And Thupten Jinpa, the Dalai Lama, His Holiness's translator, he has a book called Fearless Heart, and it's based on his compassion training that he did at the University of Stanford. He designed this 8-week compassion training course. He's a Tibetan Geshe, but he also got a PhD from Oxford in Western philosophy and knows both realms very deeply. Anyway, in his book, he talked about how the intention setting and the dedication actually helps us strengthen and develop our mindfulness, because we're starting to connect with why we're doing, why we're alive, and just a sense of, we're connecting with our kind of inner values, and that strength itself starts to kind of overpower or reduce just fickle distractedness. Like when we're kind of more centered in our heart values, that gives us a sense of strength where we're just not as kind of all over, or just we're more tethered. Yeah.
This may seem so lame to some people, but today I canceled Netflix and Facebook. They are not even on my phone anymore. They are not available to instruct me. I thought, wow, that's good. I didn't feel the attachment. I wasn't like, oh, it was just, let's get it out, bye-bye, don't bother me. And last month I did a different one. I got rid of it.
Did you all hear that? Yeah, I did. No?
I heard that she canceled Facebook and Netflix, but I didn't hear the last part, which, by the way, bravo, that's very powerful.
It wasn't like it was painful to do it for me today either.
It wasn't painful for her to do it today either. No pain. Just by. Could have said last month it would have been pain, but today not painful. Yeah. So that's the entire text, and then
of course there's additional.
Yeah, Rinpoche's very extensive oriented. It's amazing. So this was the blessing of speech that we did, and you could do that much faster. Just kind of went through it in kind of a. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that long, but just figure we're doing it together. Might as well make it a nice meditation. But you can do that faster if it's helpful. In terms of what your practice is looking like, and how much time you have for each phase of practice, or what you're doing. So that's that, and then there's daily mantras. And these are mantras to bless the rosary. So before you're reciting, this is a common ritual in like longer sadhana practices. You would kind of transform or bless your mala before you start reciting mantras. It kind of increase the power. It's like a ritual way of increasing the power. Then there's a mantra to multiply virtue. So, it says, if you recite this mantra 7 times, any virtuous activity you do is multiplied by 100,000. Sutras have these kind of amazing, kind of far out ideas about numbers, and so you could do this to kind of strengthen virtue. Like the stainless light mantra. This one's the blessing. This is like a blessing and protection mantra. So Yeah, the colophon. Talking to a person who's recited this mantra purifies even the 5 negative karmas without break. Just hearing the voice of a person who's recited this mantra, being touched by their shadow or touching their body, purifies negative karmas collected in this past life. So it's a beautiful way of feeling that you're blessing. You are like a blessed. Your energy is blessed, and it's blessing others as well. It's like similar in the earlier stanzas where we're praying to be like we're wishing to that will be useful benefit. Just my present, just if this person has any thought about me, may it benefit them. This is a kind of different way of being a positive effect on others. And the Rinpoche's commentary has commentary on each mantra. So there's a commentary to this practice in FPMT. I believe it's free download. And Rinpoche goes through each stanza that we went through and also each mantra, kind of explains the benefits. We only have 3 minutes, so holy name the mantra fills all wishes. Increase the power of recitation, mantra to bless your feet. So if you step on little critters and so forth, bless them. It says any insects that die under your feet will be born as devas in the God realm. So there's kind of these blessing practices that you can do additionally if you have time and connection to. Yeah. Also, 2 other things Rinpoche mentioned. If you're doing a lamrim prayer from another practice, that can count as this kind of fulfilling this kind of function. He also said if you're short on time, these 2 verses here you can do. Like if you just like the kind of a minimum practice to kind of would be these 2 verses if you can't do the whole practice. Let's see. We can read a few. I'll just read last few stanzas together as dedication. If you like. I'm just dedicating any positive energy that we've created together. Whenever any sentient being encounters me, may it never be meaningless for them and always be meaningful. Whenever someone has an angry or devotional thought arise just by looking at me, may that attitude alone become a cause that always accomplishes all the temporary and ultimate purposes of that being. Whenever others criticize me with their speech, harm me with their bodies, or likewise assault me behind my back, may all of them have the fortune to achieve great enlightenment. May I be a savior for those who lack a savior, a guide for all the beings who enter a road, a boat, a ship, and a bridge for those who want to cross the water. May I be an island for those who seek the safe shore of an island, a light for those who want to light, bedding for those who wish for bedding, and for all beings who desire a servant. May I become a servant of them all. May I be a wish-granting jewel and a wish-fulfilling vase, giving rise to whatever is desired, such as food and clothing, powerful mantra accomplishing actions of pacification, increase, and so forth. Great medicine curing every sickness. A wish-fulfilling tree satisfying every need, and a wish-granting cow for all beings. Like the four great elements, the earth and so forth, and like the sky, may always be a means of living in every way for the numerous sentient beings. Likewise, may it be a means of living at all times and all ways for the realms of sentient beings equaling the extent of space, until they all attain the sorrowless state. As long as space remains, as long as transmigratory beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the suffering of transmigratory beings. Thanks, Jella. Have a good night.